This is so annoying. This contact sensor is offline, and the fix isn't what you might think. I'm gonna show you 8 tips that will fix almost anything in your smart home. Even if something isn't broken now, you'll probably need these tips later on. Let's be real. The moment you go out of town and your family's still at home, something will of course break. It's Murphy's Law. Starting off first with the easiest fix, and definitely the thing you should try before anything else because it will fix a majority of your problems, turning it off and on again.
Hello, IT? Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Like this Bond bridge. The last few times I've updated Home Assistant, it's gone offline. So I come in here, unplug it, plug it back in, and I'm good to go. But that doesn't always work. For example, I have 2 HomePods right here in stereo pair for the TV, and one of them was going offline and not syncing correctly. So I physically unplugged it and plugged it back in, and that did not fix it. What did fix it was going into the settings and rebooting the stereo pair connection. So sometimes it's a software reboot will fix it and not a physical reboot. But what if it's a light switch that goes offline? How do you turn that off and on? Well, most light switches will have an air gap right underneath that you can pull out and push back in, and that will physically cut power to the light switch and essentially reboot it. When in doubt, turn it off and on again. All right, here's a slightly tricky one. What if you have a sensor that goes offline? So you pull the batteries out, put them back in to kind of, reboot it, but it still doesn't work. Well, I'm going to tell you something that's kind of sad. Your smart home can lie to you. That's right. Even if it says this sensor has like 15% battery, that might be the last battery reading before the sensor died. So just replace the batteries and it will start working again. All right, back to the contact sensor I showed at the beginning. This one's even trickier. So let's replace the battery with a fresh new one and see if that fixes it. So that did not work. So replacing the batteries did not seem to fix the issue. The batteries were still fine in the sensor. So there's another thing I can try, which I'm going to use the button on the side of the sensor. I can press the button once, and sometimes that will just reconnect it to the hub. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to hold down the button, and that will reset the connection. And that can also be a trick to getting it working again. All right, that seemed to work. Now, there is one more trick you can do if that doesn't work. After you reset it, holding down the button, try to re-add it in the hub, like adding a new Zigbee device, and then it will find it and reconnect. So yeah, sometimes it's not as straightforward as turning it off and on again. All right, this next tip is something that I even sometimes forget to do when setting up a smart home Wi-Fi device. Always turn off the mobile data on your phone. That way your phone will stay connected to the smart home device during the setup process and you won't run into any issues. I hate to say that, I forget to do this, but yes, always turn off the mobile data. All right, so you've set up your smart home Wi-Fi device, but now it's going offline. Well, there are a few different things you can do to fix it. The first and pretty obvious one is to upgrade your Wi-Fi. Maybe your router's being overrun or you don't have enough Wi-Fi access points. That would be the first thing I would look at. But if it's a specific device like these light strips right here, sometimes they can go offline and I have really good Wi-Fi. Well, it can be interference because the controller for these light strips are down deep behind these cabinets and I don't think the signal is that great for this specific device. So look for interference and that could be causing it. There are a few other settings you can do on your router to turn off or on that can improve connectivity. And I'll link an article down below that will give some suggestions. And I highly recommend investing in good Wi-Fi. So many devices around your house rely on Wi-Fi, so investing in a good system can make a big difference. To also improve your Wi-Fi, you can use more Zigbee, Z-Wave, and Thread devices. But even those can sometimes have issues. I know, it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But usually if your, say, Zigbee device is losing connection frequently or the battery's draining fast, well, it's just a connection issue and you can solve that by adding a repeater in between the device and your Zigbee hub. So I've added a bunch of smart outlets, which usually act as repeaters. It works great, pretty much solved all my connection issues. And I've even started using this motion sensor night light that has an RGB light on it. It works as a repeater and you get a lot more functionality out of it. So yeah, add repeaters if you're having connection or battery issues. Another common issue that I've seen is that an integration into your smart home hub can break. And to fix this, if you're using like Amazon, Google, or SmartThings, is to just log out and log back into that integration, and that usually fixes it. But if you're using Home Assistant, it's actually much easier. All you have to do is reload the integration, and that solves almost all your issues 95% of the time. And believe it or not, you can actually automate this. And that's the video I'm making tomorrow, how your smart home can self-heal. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell notifications turned on so you don't miss it. All right, the last tip, after you've tried everything and nothing seems to be working, before you take a hammer to your smart home and destroy everything, update the software. That usually fixes all the integrations or any issues you have. Every time I update, I'm like, oh, it's magically working again. So make sure you update. It will save you. All right, those are the 8 tips. Hopefully they were helpful. If you know of any tips that I forgot to mention, then let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Hey, Reed, I was
just turn it off and on again.
Really? Okay. Hey, that fixed it. How'd you know?
Oh yeah, no problem at all. We have this conversation like every 2 weeks.